up there. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've not seen a lot out of her, though. You know what I mean? Recently.
I haven't either.
So, like I said, right now Vivek is hot.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that's in the driver's seat.
Speaking of hot.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about this specimen right here.
Hold on. Can we say that word now?
Hot
No.
specimen.
The word about him attracted to another man.
Oh, can we use the happy word? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? I don't know.
Because remember, something about I said it too much or something. So
Oh, that's true, yo.
Oh,
I'm trying to keep it down.
that you were homophobic or something.
gay. Sorry, I had to say it. He is very attractive.
No, if I was gay, I'd be attracted to Alan Ritchson. I mean,
Yeah. Like, look at him.
he's a stud muffin, bud. He really is.
He's
I've still not seen the show.
He's a big man.
Reacher is a great show.
Great show.
And
I don't know how we transition from politics to Reacher, but we've done it.
but we were just talking. I did the
You
the
just
hot
put it up there.
segue.
So that's what we're going to talk
Did you
about.
say the hot segue?
Oh, the hot segue.
Because I'm a
yeah.
professional. I can do this stuff.
You missed one. Ha.
Oh, you guys go ahead.
Okay.
So you need to watch Reacher because the great thing about Reacher is if you read. I watched Tom Cruise's Jack Reacher.
And I like the movies.
I liked the movie.
This is better.
It was a well written movie, well acted. Tom Cruise
the first
was
one
good,
was too, for sure.
but I hadn't read any of the books. Then I read the book, and I read the book that the second season is based off of.
Mm-hmm.
So I read the book, and I'm like, "Holy cow! Tom Cruise is nothing like this dude." Because in the book he's a monster,
Mm-hmm.
and this dude's 6'5", and
He's a big old boy.
He's a big old boy. He's huge. I mean, he's so big that when he's walking down in the series, he's walking down the street, people are just like, because he looks like a gorilla. I mean,
Yeah.
he just does.
And they play on it too. Like he's so big that he's not fast. He doesn't run well, and his team teases him about it all
Right,
the
but how
time.
slow he is and stuff like
He's
that.
thinking, yeah, I'm slow, but wait till I catch you.
He says, "How many bullets you got?" She said, "Not enough to cover your slow bullets."
But they nailed this.
Yeah.
And so when I heard about him actually going to do this role, I was a little bit concerned because I read a lot of Vince Flynn books who had this character called Mitch Rapp, who was a great character. And then they came out with a movie called American Assassin,
Mm-hmm.
where they picked some teenage horrible
Heartthrob,
dude.
Yeah.
And it's like they ruined it. And they had, what's that guy named Taylor, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Taylor Kitsch, or he was in John Carter, he was in Battleship.
That poor guy. He's a decent actor.
He's fantastic.
He's just,
He picks the worst movies.
I don't know why.
But he was on the terminal list with Chris Pratt.
Yes.
He's a fantastic
Great show.
actor. He should have been Mitch Rapp. And that's what everybody was saying. He's the perfect Mitch Rapp. Why didn't you pick him? He's a bad guy in the movie, though, in the American Assassin movie. And they picked this kid like nobody believes he's Mitch Rapp. Nobody. And so when The Gray Man came out, I read the Gray Man books, too.
I really thought that was
Cortland
gonna be a
Gentry, I read that.
terrible cast.
Great
And
movie.
Ryan Gosling, it's like, oh, crap. They just ruined it again. I can't watch anything now. And Ryan Gosling came out and nailed it.
He did. He
Same
did
thing
a
with
good job.
Pattinson and Batman. Thought he was going to ruin it. Great
I
Batman.
thought Patterson was one of the greatest Batman ever. But
Yeah.
that's just my... Same thing. Ben Affleck.
He nailed it, too.
Nah.
We thought Ben Affleck... I
He
still
was
like
terrible.
Ben Affleck because he was the grumpy old Batman. We've had this
He was
discussion.
terrible.
Sorry.
Affleck was good, too.
Affleck was good. I liked Affleck.
Before we get into
He's
this,
better than Christian Bale.
somebody did say, I have heard Trump. He asked several people, and most people say Vivek, including Beck.
Beck
That's
wants,
true. Yeah, Beck
said
wants him
that.
bad. Yeah. Well, matter of fact, he said Trump called him or whatever and was talking to him, and he's
I
like,
believe that,
well,
man.
you know, oh yeah, and he said, well, who do you suggest? And he said Vivek.
He's
So
like, and everybody's been saying that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, maybe there's a reason. Once again, get that young vote. Get that.
Get that young vote because
Get that young-
Generation X is not voting.
Well,
They're not going to vote for Biden. They're not going to vote.
Yeah.
For,
and you need to get that young energy in there. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
You got a bunch of 80-year-old dudes there. They're thinking 80-year-old ways.
And it is a bunch of 80-year-old
It is. You need somebody like that in there. You just do.
100%.
Back on track.
So he comes out here, and he does Reacher, and he just nails it. Gosh, he nails it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I find out, even after the first series, that this guy is a Christian.
Proclaims to be. Yeah.
And he has this channel called Insta Church. Don't say that because we don't want people to think we're judging people.
Yeah, don't judge anyone.
I'm judging him. When you claim to be Christian, I'm a judge you.
Well, that's right. I mean,
Oh, snap. Well, he runs around killing people, so...
and so he
Yeah,
gets
he's
on
got an
here-
interesting take here. Yeah.
So he does this. He did this video. I haven't watched all of it.
I've not seen it.
Okay.
So he does this video here where he responds to people who says that he can't be a Christian and portray
And be Reacher. Yeah.
be Reacher.
Yeah.
And
My question is Reacher doing? He's always on the side of good, though, right?
he always is, but yes, but he gets there violently. He gets to
Okay,
that side.
all right.
It's. I mean, there's some stuff in there, especially the first season. There was no nudity in the second season. There
Right.
was nudity in the first season,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just so gratuitous. It was like there's no need for this to be in
They
there.
just threw it in there, did.
There was absolutely no
Yeah.
need whatsoever.
And that would be where I think that his role infringes on his belief.
And that's what bothered me.
Yeah.
Because in the first scene, he has a shower scene with a naked girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, dude, really?
And while the camera does a better job in this season, the same thing happens this time. It's just not as
Once again, you could put the thought
Visual.
across without being
I'm so freaking tired of that, though.
in your face.
I'm so because it used to be in my day we were growing up, you would see her you would see the girl walk through the door, and she would like take her shirt off and walk toward the bed. The guys, and then the door would shut, and
Yeah.
that's it.
The best, well, a great example is the new Top Gun.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's a great example of how it is done tastefully. You know what happened. You're not,
But they
we're
didn't
all
show
adults.
it actually
They
going
didn't
on.
show it. Yeah, it was very, and then they showed him in clothes, and it was just like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
you know what happened.
Yeah.
Once again, why can't they do that?
It's
Now they feel like they have to actually show the act happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And it's like, why? We all have, just let people's imagination run wild.
yeah.
Mhm.
Who
You don't have to
cares?
do that stuff.
No.
And so, but they have to do it because, and Game of Thrones.
Oh,
did it-
Game of Thrones. Yeah, they did it every chance they got.
Yeah.
They throw wieners in the background. Like you'd
After
be
I
looking
saw
across,
the-
and it's like
yeah.
wieners everywhere, and it's like,
I
whoa.
watched Game of Thrones, and after I saw the second wiener, I was like, I'm not watching it anymore.
Oh, it's like what, episode 2? I was about to say like episode 2. Because it was like if you watch the whole season, there's like 1,500 wieners you could have counted.
One that gets cut off.
Yeah.
What? Oh yeah. Oh, that poor guy. He deserved it though.
JR is always the first to say claims to be when we talk about people.
It
being
is true.
Christians.
He does.
It's what I always say about celebrities too. See, the claim.
They
Well-
claim, which is not wrong.
Yeah.
You're allowed if he claims
question
to be Christian,
everything.
there should be fruit.
But honestly, I mean, we claim to be Christians,
We're not celebrities though.
and
Right.
so
And we expect Christians to hold us accountable
and
when we
if
say that.
somebody doesn't, and if somebody doesn't know us, then it's okay. I think it's okay to say that.
Yeah, 100%.
If you
I
don't
hope
know us
somebody
personally,
go,
if you're not around us, if you don't
Right.
go to our church, if you don't know,
If I knew him personally, I'd probably know where his where he stood. You know, I mean,
yeah, I want to hear his response. Let's see what he says.
okay.
That's it.
Reacher. I love telling this story. I love playing a character
He's even got,
who
like,
creates a
eyes
kind of
that
moral ambiguity that we should
draw you
struggle against as we consider whether or not what he's doing is good all the time or morally right. I think that kind of thing is fun and fascinating, and I think escaping to that world as an audience, hopefully it's as enjoyable for you as it is for me to help bring it to life. But it's funny to me how a lot of people criticize me, supposed Christians especially criticize me for playing Reacher, as if the only TV that should exist is seeing people silently folding their hands in the pew of a church. I mean, what kind of stories
See,
are
that I
we
agree with,
supposed
yeah.
to tell? If you look at Scripture, what do you find? You see 1,000 years of an infinitely holy God holding tension with human beings as he tells the story of who he is, reveals who he is through an imperfect people. So we get stories of paganism and a war and bloodshed and ghost stories, mysticism. We see miracles and magic, and we see life and resurrection and death, and we see this incredible canvas where God is completely unafraid to tell the story of who he is through less than morally ambiguous characters, through pure evil sometimes. So I think it's laughable when people criticize me for playing characters that are not like saintly. That's not my job, and I don't think God cares about only telling those kinds of stories. I think we can start conversations and we can reach people through these mediums in a way that I think God enjoys. And so here we are now, where we can get to the heart of the matter, where God has built a platform because of this show for me, where I can reach people who maybe don't think about these things all the time, and maybe for those who are struggling or feel lost or want to try something new, they can find something that brings them hope, like my faith has mine. And so, to go back to the heart of the matter, I think we only have to look at the first 2 verses of the Bible to see who God is, the purpose of what he's doing.
I watched this part. This is a
and what
little
he
weird
wants
for
to
me.
do in your life, and where that tension exists once humanity enters the equation. In verse 1, we get this. Now, God created the heaven and the earth, the heavens and the earth. We see that God is a creator. But what kind of creator? We go to verse 2 to find out. It says, now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters representing chaos. The earth formless and empty. The Hebrew word for formless and empty is tovu vavohu. It means wild and waste. There was nothing but wild and waste in the beginning. We sort of skip over the Big Bang, and we've got the planets forming and coalescing, but it's wild and waste. There's no good there yet. There's nothing usable. It's empty. And God's Spirit is hovering over the waters. And out of that, he creates a garden that is enviable among angels and man. The Garden of Eden. He creates humanity. He begins this saga that is epic. An epic saga of love out of the wild and the waste. And I think that is exactly what God intended in the first 2 verses of the Bible to be revealed. That he is a good creator, and that out of the wild, the waste, and the empty of your life, he can create a garden if you let him. But the difficulty is the fact that when God wills himself over creation and says, out of this wild and waste, just with my breath, I will animate goodness and gardens and sunsets and sunrises and humanity that will learn slowly how to love each other. When it comes to people, he's a little standoffish because he doesn't want to breach free will, because he wants to respect the fact and see what you do with this opportunity to invite the Spirit in that hovers over you, or to try to do it on your own and stay in the wild and the waste and be the king and Lord over the emptiness. Would you rather be the king and the God of the emptiness and the wild and the waste, or would you rather participate under one who is the infinite, holy, good creator of all, in his garden, participate in that garden? That is the question that we face in the first 2 verses of the Bible. That is the heart of the matter. And when we are distracted with other questions of like, can you possibly be a Christian and play a character like Reacher? We're missing that moment, that confrontation that God is waiting for in all of our lives. And for some of us, it comes sooner than others. I hope if you haven't confronted that question yet, that this conversation helps bring you to it sooner. Do you want to be the God of emptiness, wild, and waste? Or do you want to be a servant in a garden?
Okay.
That was a lot.
I bet that your opinion shifted after listening through that.
He's
sounding very poetic.
He's definitely.
He sounded very.
No, I sincerely think, and I'm not just saying this because I love Reacher. I sincerely think he's a believer.
Right.
He's passionate.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's
sincere.
Yes.
As a seminary trained theologian, though,
it's time to rip him down.
No, that was a bunch of goobly-gook.
I think it was very odd to try to use Genesis 1 and 2. Chapter 1, verses 1 and 2.
It started off really good, and then it just kind of,
halfway through, where he started talking about the waters and the chaos, and it was like, oh,
because I mean, the story of redemption, the scarlet thread of redemption that runs throughout from the Old Testament to the New Testament, is a story that is filled with violence, with imperfect people,
yes.
with sex, immorality, adultery.
Right.
And God used those people,
right,
to do mighty things.
But those idolatric people or those unbelievers that he used, do you think we'll see them again? I think very few of them made the cut. I think
King David was not a great person.
I think they served their purpose.
We don't know the entire purpose of their redemptive story. We don't know. We don't know. We've got bits and pieces from the Old Testament, and we don't know what happened to these people at the end of their lives or whatever.
It's like, for example, the way he used Samson. Is there any inclination that Samson was a follower of any kind? No, he just served God's purpose.
Right.
And that's God using an imperfect person, but that doesn't make that imperfect person right.
No, because God's going to use whatever means necessary to accomplish what he needs.
And he didn't address the question, really. he tried to use Genesis 1 and 2 to make up a story of how God uses imperfect people, but he didn't address the things that he takes part in the show.
And he shouldn't have used the term supposed Christians.
He did that on purpose. Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
that got Mike too.
I look at supposed Christian. I look at him. Well, that sounds like Jr.
But that was wrong for him to say that. And he probably
Well, I
regrets that.
think he's touching on the judgment thing. That if we
Yeah,
were Christians,
but
we shouldn't be
would've done the
judging
same-
him.
We would have done the same thing.
I think it was sincere people, though. But they're sincere because even I have some questions about the sex scenes as a Christian.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we would have done
The
the same
profanity, I've been known to let one slip every once in a while. And you guys do too.
But we would have done the same thing because they would have questioned us and we'd be like, well, okay.
These supposed Christians.
Supposed Christians are saying we're wrong. We're going to set it right.
Hey, I'm glad that it looks like there's a Christian in Hollywood. It seems like maybe they're taking it that way because he's not popular with that YouTube channel. That video blew up, but none of his others do.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it looks like there's a Christian in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I hope. I don't even know how to say that.
I think as the seasons go along,
He's thinking of, I'm not getting in trouble for
but I
it.
think as the seasons go along, continue, and there's going to be more seasons. Hopefully, 15 seasons. That's what he wants to do. As the seasons go on, and he gets a little more power and star power and stuff like that, then
Maybe.
he'll kind of be able to do the series like he wants to do it.
Here-
if you think about it, though, a lot of shows do that.
I mean, he got
The Witcher, the first season of The Witcher, they threw boobies everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it
wasn't like that at the
but
end.
the
yeah.
second, third, fourth, no, because they it's like that shock and awe to draw in people.
right.
And then they don't
Honestly,
have to
Game
do
of
it
Thrones
anymore.
was that way too. It was tamer by
Game
the
of
end.
Thrones, by the time it got to the end, it was super tame compared to what it was in the beginning. Once again,
Right.
they established their base. They didn't need to do that anymore. I think a lot of shows do that in the first couple seasons.
Agreed.
Just to
And
shock
in
and
the
awe.
first season, he's kind of establishing himself, who he's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as you see it go along, that he'll eventually get to the point where he's just like, you know what, I don't want to do any scenes with other women.
Yeah.
And maybe
That might
maybe
be.
that's it. For me, as a Christian, the violence he uses in that show is still on the morally right side,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Even though it seems premeditated sometimes the way he speaks, but
Is he killing or murdering?
as a married man with children, I have issues with the other scenes.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that's a legitimate concern. And that's okay. And I'm not,
And
We're not judging him
and
at
I'm not
all.
saying I'm married with children. He is too,
right.
and that's where that's big. That's big.
But I
for me.
think it's a legitimate concern. But I think men like Reacher because he's just, and I, as a Christian man, I enjoy the show just because, I'm gonna tell you what, man. I'm gonna get on another tirade. I just know I always do about how we
He's
treat
gonna talk
men,
about how he's hot again.
how we treat men.
I mean, we can.
But how we
Good
treat
looking
men
dude.
within the church, and then we turn around and then we chastise these Christian men because they like John Wick and they
Yeah.
like Reacher and they like these shows. They like The Equalizer. I can't even think. Because that his
Denzel
name?
Washington.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they like it because you've got these guys who are, they're pursuing justice, but they pursue it violently, in a way. And Christian men, these nice, good Christian guys, live vicariously through these guys
Yeah, they do.
because they want to lash out,
Yeah.
and then they're told by the church to sit down and shut up, and
You have to
instead of like
love.
when an atheist comes in to disrupt your service, just go over and slapping the shit out of him, and then throwing him out in the that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
But the church says you can't do that.
You gotta love them. You gotta
You
love
gotta
them.
love them.
You gotta love
everyone.
You gotta love your
That's
enemies.
a hard thing for a dude to do anyway, is love, and then turn around and tell him he's got to love people he doesn't like.
Yeah,
Nah, sorry.
and I think
it's
we could
hard.
do a whole I keep saying podcast. We could do a whole show on that because these,
Yeah.
I don't think he was exactly saying what we think he's saying. But then again, you see people like that. Just the other day, okay, let me tell you a real personal story. Just the other day, and I understand, and in a little way I understand what he's talking about because he's playing a character. And sometimes we get on here and we play a character. We're not really like this in
absolutely.
real life.
Yeah.
We just kind of get on here and do this stuff. I say more cuss words in this show than I do, the rest of the
We
entire
get you
month.
fired up.
And I say less.
Because I get fired up. That's what it is. We get fired up. So I go in there the other day and I'm walking into Walmart, and you don't understand, the church just like strangles the male. It just does. It kills men. The church is killing men. Literally, it's killing them. I go in the other day. I get gas. I go into the Walmart convenience store because I want a Baby Ruth, the best candy bar ever made. All right, so I go in there and I get one. And this kid pulls up in a van. He pulls up in the handicap zone, gets out, walks in, gets something. You know, and I don't know. He comes in after me, so he's checking out, and I go up, and then I see him trot his little butt out there and hop in that van. And I said, "Who is that guy?" And all this, now I'm in the middle of Walmart. Here, I'm the pastor. I'm in the middle of Walmart, and my voice is starting to rise. You know me when I start getting crazy. Who is that guy? Well, we don't really know. He's a regular customer. And I said, you tell him he parks in a handicap zone again and he doesn't have a sticker, I'll kick his ass.
That is great.
And I am screaming it.
He's going to need a handicap sticker.
I am yelling it. And there's guys, and it's that point where, and you can see the other guys in the store because it's that point where this guy's being really loud, but I am scared of this dude because
he might go off.
Because he's ready to go off on somebody. And I was just like, and so I walked out, and the last thing I said was, thanks.
Probably saw the bulge in his back pocket, too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I go out, and I kid you not, I go out and I sit in my car, and I sit there for a second, and the first thing that happens is I get a huge grin on my face.
It felt good about
I am
myself.
Jack
Because
Reacher.
it felt good.
I am Jack Reacher.
It felt good.
Yeah.
Because this guy was doing something. Jack Reacher would have put his head through the windshield.
Pulled him out.
Yeah, he would have. Yeah. And I know I can't do that. But it felt good just to be fired up about something.
Yeah.
And we're just, and guys are just dying. Yeah. And so they watch these shows and they're just like, I wish I was like this dude sometimes.
Yeah.
They do. Maybe not John Wick where I'm killing everybody.
Yeah.
But Reacher doesn't go around and just randomly kill people.
Yeah.
He just,
Wick's getting revenge, and he's not in anybody's bedroom when he does it.
That is valid.
but like Reacher,
He did kill a naked chick in a hot tub, though.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
The second was probably still the best one, I think.
I like
But Reacher, got a guy who's mistreating a dog, and he goes over there and he punches the guy in the face.
Yeah.
And he just, and then takes the choke collar and wraps it around his neck and says, how do you like it? You see that, and you're like, yeah.
It's a show I'm going to have to watch.
I'm reading through Why Men Hate Church based on your recommendation. It's right
It's
there
a
on the
great
table.
book.
It's just
Nice.
fell over.
It's a great book. It really is.
I feel the Mike soapbox coming on about this. I love it.
Oh, about what?
Apparently about men. I don't know.
We're not, yeah. I could go. I can go.
Unless he thinks you're Mike.
You are not Mike.
I am not
Maybe
Mike.
he thinks you're Mike.
That's Lee. He
I'm
goes on
Lee.
the soapbox all the time. I don't have my soapbox.
I'm doing a sermon this weekend, and I'm talking about Genesis chapter 3, verse 16, where it talks about your desires shall be for your husband, but he shall rule over you, and he shall rule over you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let the women have it this week because the other